Welcome back. Thank you very much. And we're grateful that you can stay with us. Please make sure that you share your thoughts with us, what your questions are. Of course, I asked my previous guests what they thought about this particular, program. They had some questions I'm going to be throwing it to Doc. But Dr. Ishmael Niamanododu is the Director of Innovative Financing and, of course, Markets and Partnerships at the 24-Hour Economy and Accelerated Development Secretariat. They just launched, the team and, of course, the country launched the major, call it the critical, not controversial. The campaign was controversial. Now it's a bit more critical to the survival with what we're hearing. A big thanks to Aquaclear Mineral Water for staying with us and being part of the show. Make sure that you stay hydrated and always satisfied as well. Well, before we went on break, I promised that we needed to talk about the critical bottlenecks. And you mentioned that. There's the issue of water. Not only were we struggling with it until the issues of our lands and devastation of same came through, the issue of electrification projects, whether or not we have even completed that, I am not sure about that. Telecoms, still, there are a lot of parts of this country that we still cannot move networks to, telecommunications network. Then there's the issue of energy, electricity, and we still have power issues. Has that come? And what has been the discussion around this before we go to the 8 sub-programs?
Yeah, these are very important issues to deal with in order to be able to attract the type of investment that we're looking at. Remember, the 24-hour economy has to be led by private sector. And what we are doing in authority, when we become authority, is actually to facilitate these things happening and do matchmaking. But in order for us to get this happening, it is important that some of these factors have to be dealt with. No private sector comes in, number one, if there's no market for what they are going to produce. But here there's market. If you look at our food import alone, it's $2.5 billion, right. Which means if you produce the food here, you capture the market of $2.5 billion. Our GDP is $80 billion. GDP of Greater Accra alone is going to be about $35 billion in 2030. So the things are going around here. Then you look at the 425 million population of West Africa and how that our Sahelian regions are also integrated into our economy. Then we also have some of our brothers and sisters that we continuously support in Sierra Leone market, in Liberia market. And then you have the African Continental Free Trade Area. So anybody who comes from overseas to set up anything to manufacture here is going to get a market for it. Now, Ghana Statistical Services will tell you that anything that you manufacture here, by way of the critical sectors that 24-hour economy has mentioned, whether in garments, textiles, or in pharmaceuticals and so on, it is 90% uptake by the market. So the market is there. So it's guaranteed. The second is we need to work on power reliability and infrastructure that can power or handle the load or the weight of manufacturing.
Whose job is that? Private sector?
So that is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity.
Okay.
So somebody can actually produce that power and sell to from manufacturing sectors. So that is also something that truly, is an opportunity. So what we are doing, our strategy for energy, reliability and support, is embedded solution, a decentralized energy production system where we produce the energy that is required for industrial parks and agroecological parks, for minimal agro-processing and manufacturing, light manufacturing. And these are all embedded solutions within these parks that we are talking about. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And what are some of the energy mix? Most of them are going to be renewable energy, because it provides an opportunity for us to also attract other forms of innovative finance in the climate action realm, right? So we're looking at waste to energy, we're looking at biogas, we're looking at solar, and of course, our grid. Now, in industrial parks, this is the energy mix that we're going to have, and then we are at the moment talking to a wide array of investors who are interested to come and do this, to produce between 5 to 15 megawatts of electricity.
So let's stay there,
Yes.
and I hope you don't lose your thoughts as
Yes.
well. The industrial parks are still going to be used?
Correct.
Oh, they will?
Yeah.
I hear they are very expensive for people who want to be a part of it. You need some huge sum of money to operate in
No,
there.
this is the way the industrial parks to be. The industrial parks, our Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund will be the one that will handle the industrial parks. Now, they will have the concession for the industrial parks. So they work, because the concessions may come by way of those land holdings. So we are building a land trust. We have a land trust that we're establishing, working with landowners. We're also looking at state lands, state farm lands that have been abandoned for many years. And so we have a whole team that are actually gone through the whole country to look at areas where there are land sizes that can be constructed into agroecological parks, which is the production of our food and primary processing, and industrial parks where you will have both agribusiness and light manufacturing happening. So they have these concessions. Typically, they will have these concessions, and they create an SPV. Now, when you create an SPV, you're asking with the business plan, rate of return and viability.
Right.
And then you use the seed funds to be able to create the SPV and allow a private sector to come in to be able to establish the industrial park. And the private sector can come in. Some would say, well, I'm taking the whole construction of industrial parks. Then I will run it. So if a textile manufacturing company want to be in an industrial park, then it would be a tenant. If a poultry processing company want to be industrial park, it would be a tenant. So you build the bulk infrastructure with the energy source, with the water source, and the energy source, the embedded energy, because of the renewable energy mix we are looking, it will give you between 5 to maybe 7 cents per kilowatt hour, which is what you need to cut down your cost of production. So you have the industrial park picted. Now, one of the things that really is critical to market is logistics and supply chain. So using a Volta economic corridor, the river transport, you'll be able to cut down your cost of transporting your goods to the port.
Is that already there?
The Volta River is there.
Yeah, but the means of transportation.
We are building. That's the investment of $400 million, which is going.
What is going to be on it? Boats.
There's going to be barges. You're going to have barges. We're going to water transport systems. We're going to have inland ports so that people can move the goods to the inland ports and then put them on the water and then transport. So this whole, when we're doing the launch, we give a whole animation for it, and we can make it available to your audience to look at the animation so that you have an imagination. So we are creating a new thing, and you see, whenever there's new thing happening, of course, there are those who wait and see, and then those who are skeptical, and then those who engage. My encouragement to Ghanaians and anyone watching me today is that please don't wait and see, just get involved. Because what we are doing in the implementation is co-creating the implementation strategy as we go along. Because we want to make sure that the implementation is really fit for purpose, in that it is practical to the utilization by stakeholders. And if private sector is leading it, the good thing you get with it, they'll bring innovation, they'll bring discipline.
That's right.
And they will want to make sure they get back their money, so they will invest it well.
I see. The 8 integrated programs, sub-programs, are here in front of me. And for those of you who have not seen the document, I'm sure it's online by now. So you can just search the 24-hour economy, accelerated export development program, and then you could get that. Let's start off with, maybe you can just help us quickly, summarizing it. So we have Grow 24, Make 24, Build 24, Show 24, Connect 24, Fund 24, Aspire 24, and Go 24. Let's start off with Grow 24.
So Grow 24 is modernizing our agriculture, ensuring that we produce not just what we need, but surplus for industry and for export. Making sure that the factories that actually will be agro-processing, they will have the raw materials. And we're building these factories in agroecological parks intentionally, and also industrial parks. Now, the agroecological parks will have the following. We'll have irrigation facility. As of today, only 3.5% of agriculture is irrigated. Only 3.5%. As a result, the yield per hectare for maize, for example, on the average, globally, it should be about 4.5 per hectare, tons per hectare. But now it is in Ghana is 1.5 or 2.0 tons per hectare. So there's scope for improvement. So in the agroecological park, also you have access to farmer services, farmer service center. You also have access to seed, a seed bank that can give you the seed variety that you need to produce the quality. You have access to support, extension services that could help you to produce according to the standards for which you want to export, the standard of the export destination for which you are growing towards.
Okay.
So the agroecological parks, and you're also growing in ways that it meets environmental and social standards. So you can attract additional financing through climate financing and impact investments.
Okay.
And this is different from 1D1F, where factories are supposed to be dotted everywhere. And yesterday I was asking somebody, by the concept of 1D1F, it means that you should even put a factory up in the Dodo constituency or Nema, with what raw material and for what purpose.
Okay.
So you have to be intentional about building, about industrializing.
Are we sure that a lot of people who probably have the weight, talking about the pocket, might not want to use the same pocket to, if you like, misdirect? So even if you say this is situated, this has been cited for this purpose because the raw materials are close, he says, no, I want it for my people, and because of that.
So we don't do a chicken and egg situation. What we do before the industrial park are going to be contiguous with the agroecological parks. So we know that that's why private sector is coming in. They come in on demand. They come in on seeing the market. So we have cashew, for example. The requirement of cashew across the world is huge. So if you have a cashew belt, so you create an agroecological a path for cashew production to feed maybe a China market or soya bean to feed China market, which they need about 100 million tons per month to feed them. If that's what we are tapping into that market, then of course that belt would have the industrial park that will process the soya into the quality for China to be exported to China.
I see.
So this is why I'm saying it's quite different
from 1D1F.
From 1D1F, our approach and the way we the execution plan and our intention and strategy is quite different. Though there will be similarities in what we want, which is value-added products and so on. We are very intentional about the growth corridors or the economic corridors where we site these factories.
Make 24 manufacturing.
So manufacturing has to do with getting made in Ghana goods on the market.
Okay.
Manufacturing the things that we need rather than importing them. And it's aimed at cutting down the import bill by more than 60%. All right? So we're looking at things, adding value to the products that we have. So rather than just producing maize, you have maize that can lead to, feed for poultry or even manufacturing cornflakes and so on and so forth. So it is a manufacturing.
I had shared the other day with Dr. Otokuno.
Correct. So there's a lot of, so it has to do with agro-processing. It has to do with pharmaceuticals, manufacturing some of the generics and the pharmaceutical products that we need. The market for West Africa annually for pharmaceutical products, given the spate of our health conditions and the challenges associated with our population growth, is about $22.7 billion per year.
Okay.
And that's a huge market, and it's growing. You also have Ghana importing cosmetic products worth $637 million per year. So that's the market that can be occupied by looking at some of the ingredients that we can manufacture. So the Make 24 is ensuring that the different aspects of manufacturing and industry that we depend on will have them having the expressions here. Textiles and garments to be there, the machines, fabrication, methodology, and all of this to make sure that we formalize our machines. So you will see a pharmaceutical center in Legon that is dedicated towards manufacturing made in Ghana pharmaceutical. Right. In addition to some of the anchors that we have, like life centers, life sciences that need to upscale and Kina Pharma and all those people, we're going to work with all of them to look at how do they grow to scale. Okay. Then we are also looking at textiles and garments too within that setup.
And one of the factors that always call it that fight against this has to do with the taste of the Ghanaian. That's one major. And so he wants something from elsewhere because he wants to be associated with a brand. It's the kind of people we are. I don't know where we got that from. maybe there must be a shift in mindset before because what you are wearing is beautiful.
Yes, and it's Ghana.
And it's Ghana.
Yes.
But you see, what I'm wearing is sometimes, I'm sure, even cheaper. The entire thing, I can assure you, is cheaper than what you're wearing. And that also takes a lot of time to make. But I can get this one easily. And so I'm putting this on and I'm going. No disappointment and all of that. So I don't know whether it has to do with systems or is a mindset. Because I would love to wear that.
Yeah, it has to do with a combination of many things.
Okay.
We have a condition to always import and to really patronize products that is manufactured outside. And it was the intentionality of those who actually did these things to try and bring it to us. And it's part of the imperialist economic system that we inherited. We never changed that, and we are trying to change that. So what we are wearing, for example, be it that is manufactured, is bought from the US, would have been manufactured from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Now we are attracting those who manufacture this thing, in the garments, who manufacture this thing, to come here in the industrial parks.
Oh.
So that's what we are talking about.
Oh, I see.
We are talking about a situation where polo shirts are manufactured here.
That's ambitious.
No, it's not ambitious.
It's not?
No. We're already having conversation with one of the Benin is already doing it. They're producing polo assassin.
Benin?
Yes.
Benin.
In Arise. So Arise has a park. So, the world, Ghana is in a very interesting situation, like in many other African countries.
Why?
We are a very young population. Our average population age is about 20 years. So if you invest in such a 20-year-old person with technology, with expertise, and imagination, it can serve your company for another 20, 30 years.
I see.
So this is why we are attracting this that's why we are creating industrial parks where we actually provide energy reliability.
Right.
That's why we are investing in human capital, so that the people know how to actually solve these things. They have the techniques and the capacity to do that.
Okay.
And this is that's why we are doing what we call the ASPAM, which has digital centers of excellence, so that people will go and learn the minimum digital skills that you need for occupational survival.
Okay. So it connects also with the 1 million
It connects
coders.
so you look at 1 million coders, and they have to we have fine expression in industry for those who come out to the coding.
I see.
So it's a whole integrated value chain process. So our vision is that not only you don't have to go to Europe or London to buy TM Lewin dress. They're actually manufactured here and exported to those places.
Okay.
That's the vision that we're going to have.
Very interesting. We have about less than 15 minutes to go. We have Build 24. I don't know whether we can.
So Build 24 is very interesting.
Yes.
One of the things that is different here, and it's also different for the 1-1F, because you can see we are targeting growth corridors.
Right.
We are very intentional about the product within which a factory should, product within a factory setup. So we're not just saying, well, just grow, have a factory and produce cashew nut, and have a factory and produce ginger oil.
Right.
That's not what we are doing. We are very intentional, and very deliberate. Now, Build 24 has to do with how do you get Ghanaians to build the infrastructure they need, whether in housing or hospitals or buildings and whatever, by using a catalog of made in Ghana materials which have been researched over many, many years, bringing them back so that we can build our buildings with specificity, culturally contextual, aligned, and it is in ways that define us as Ghanaians.
Okay.
Right? If you look, if you go to Netherlands, they have a certain way they build. The moment you get there, this is Netherlands.
Okay.
Now, what about Ghana? Yeah. We used to have some type of housing that we can modernize. So within the Build 24 is looking at locally made Ghanaian materials that also are appropriate for building.
Is there
cost that is cheaper?
Okay.
And so it will address our housing needs.
Is there any? I know probably you might not know this. Is there any quickest example you can give me? Any close example that you can give me of a building that is coming up that you probably want to use as model to say that this should be what buildings in Ghana should look like? Is there anything on top of your mind, or?
Well, there's some that is quite remote, so people might not connect it. But look at what is happening in Burkina Faso.
Okay.
In how they are turning their school classrooms.
Yeah.
Using the clay, this is the type of imagination that we want to bring here.
Right.
And there are Ghanaians that actually have done this research. Building Roads and Research Institute have done a catalog, a national catalog. They have a national catalog of building local raw materials that you can use for all types of buildings with prototypes.
How are you going to convince local producers, to use this? Because again, they are also in the competitive market to say that these are the kinds.
So in our implementation strategy,
right,
government is going to be one of the biggest clients of Made in Ghana goods.
Okay.
So this is how we're going to lead the way.
So you're building.
Exactly. And this shows how serious the president is.
Okay. Fair.
That our local procurement content is going to have Made in Ghana goods as a prerequisite for winning contracts.
I see. I know there's this particular young man, Makafwe, who is using waste to create tables and chairs for students.
Correct. And it's working.
It's working.
Exactly. So this is what we want to do. This is part of the Bill 24. So we are looking at all these people. And McAfee, we talked to all these.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and I know, and had very good conversation with McAfee.
Okay.
And this inspires some of the writing of the Bill 24.
Oh, I see.
So that people express the future they want in them. I really encourage Ghanaians to take their time. It's a long document, but a big document. Take your time. Look at the things you are looking at.
That's macabre.
Yes. Yeah. Look at the things you're doing, and see whether you cannot find yourself in it.
I see.
Another part is the Aspire 24, which really goes to the youth.
Okay.
And that has to do with looking at mindset change. In order for us to get to where we are looking, the destination of an economy that is booming with 3 streets and night markets and Made in Ghana goods everywhere, and you're proud of it, and you're wearing a suit manufactured here in an industrial park, which you go to another market in London, you're going to pick a suit there and it's made in Ghana. To get there, you need to have a mindset shift. You need to look at our ethics, our approach to work, the kind of skills that we need. People need to learn new skills. People need to engage the digital economy.
That's right.
The Aspire 24 helps you. It's a program, a digital excellence program. One of the things we do is to mainstream digital fluence through the TVET system.
Okay.
And in fact, very interesting that for those who can neither read nor write, and we call them, they are not literate, because you cannot teach them through reading or writing, but you can teach them through instructions in their own local language. We have a specific program for them through the TVET system where you can be taught to be a carpenter in your Ghana language or in Ewe language or in Izima.
Oh, I see.
Correct.
As part of the adult education or something?
No, they are youth. Remember, these are 2.6 million youth.
Young people.
Between 18 to 25.
When I say adults, it means that school-going age, you were not able to go, probably as an 18 or 19-year-old.
But you need skills.
I was not able to go to basic.
This is why what we have is different. What is different is that the 24 economy is an economy that works for everyone.
Okay.
Every hour of the day.
Okay.
So we're looking at working for everyone, the inclusivity, the leaving no one behind with the UN SDGs. And this is why the type of investment that we're going to attract is also, some of them are going to come from grant financing or impact financing. And there are a lot of them. The UN system, for example, spend close to $500 million a year, on grant financing. Right. And they will funding typically things such as this. Foundations will fund things like this. Okay. So when we talk about, by the time I go over where the sources of funding, you will see that it is not.
It's easy.
It's not that it's difficult. I mean, it's something that is always there. Okay. And to think that your GDP alone is 80 billion, but 3 countries control your GDP, and they control 80% of your GDP. So when you turn it around through increased manufacturing and all the programs we put together, then Ghanaians will be becoming wealthy. Then they themselves will even fund Center of Excellence.
Okay.
They can do something for their country because they are wealthy.
How is, and this is on a final note, some last 2 questions, the issues of free zones, GEPA, GIPC, and all of these that have similar, roles to play with this trade and agribusiness, and of course, industry, ministry, and all of that. How is it going to be the case that when these fundings come in, because they themselves cannot go and source for again, they are not starved to, do whatever it is that they want to do, where there is a certain policy cohesion? Has there been conversations already? Because I've heard people also speak about that.
Well, I mean, this is a government vision. This is a vision of the president.
Right.
The secretariat or the authority now to become authority will be
When
called when we become authority, and it's soon to be an authority.
You don't have the date?
Yeah, we don't have a date.
Okay.
I mean,
is he in Parliament?
I found out that we have become very impatient.
Oh,
because the issue is that it is only January that we were sworn into power.
Right.
Then we started forming our government between February and March. We launched the program only 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And then everybody said, well, I want 24-hour economy maize on the market. I mean, we all know this doesn't work like that. Anything that is worth doing, you take your time and it's painstaking.
Right.
Bible teaches us to wait for the vision.
Okay.
It said, though it tarries, wait for it.
Right.
There's a reason. In the waiting, you have insight, you have ideas, you have dreams, you have visions, you have imaginations, and it helps you to implement it better. What is important is casting the vision for implementation strategy, which we have casted, and which we are working towards. We bury our head and focus. People will see that we actually are not launching things here and there.
Yeah.
But it's because we want to work for Ghanaian people. And we want to work with Ghanaians who are ready, who are willing to sacrifice time and energy for us. There are a lot of people that are working pro bono with us to make sure that these things happen.
Right.
So there are good and well-meaning Ghanaians out there who are working. And to be honest, because they don't talk, people don't know, but I believe there are more than 80% of those who really want these things to happen are them. And the 20% could probably be the skeptics. So it gives us comfort.
Right.
But the skepticism is also very important. We want people to give us that feedback.
Right.
And so it's also
and
good
you also
to
communicate to us that probably we need to be patient because we cannot wait to see the success of Ghana. I'm sure.
Correct.
From where we have come from, we're expecting once there's a promise of reset, we're also expecting that.
But because of some of the policy directions that the president is taking, he announced that the port is going to be 24 hours.
Yes.
So we have to begin to wait.
Well, it was in the news today that Tema and Takrady are now 24 hours.
All right. So we're beginning to see the signs.
Okay.
Now look at the city.
Okay.
We to the point where we even now are telling the city, please don't drop more than a certain band because it's not good for business. When was the last time you felt this?
Right.
So really good things are happening.
Okay. There's one last question. What's the relationship between the 24-hour plus program and CSIR? What role is the CSIR playing in this program? How is the program planned to carry Ghanaians along? What is the plan? Are we having a regional hubs to make the program accessible to all? Great intervention program for Ghana. CSIR, did you contact them?
CSIR is our biggest strategic partner.
Oh, okay.
CSIR is an incredible institution. In fact, I'm very concerned that we have not taken a lot of their research and manifested it into our day-to-day lives, and because they do action research that are important for addressing some of the challenges we face. CSIR, if you look at the seed varieties that they have really developed, are you aware? Wheat doesn't grow here naturally, but they have been able to find a variety of wheat that produce much more quality content than it is in India.
Interesting.
And it was funded by an Indian initiative, and it is here, ready to roll out. CSIR have all types of research that are going to form the critical part of seed selection, of extension services, of R&D, through the agroecological parks and even industrial parks.
What's next? From after the launch, I've seen a lot of media engagements. What's next? What's the next big step?
So the next big step is creating the programs, the activities.
Okay.
Their program now the activities that's going to happen in agroecological parks and industrial parks.
Okay.
Some of them have to go through feasibility studies to make sure that we site the parks in ways that they go. We are also negotiating now. This is a time where we're negotiating with some of our major partners in the African Development Bank, Afrexim Bank, Badia, development institutions. We're going to have a meeting with head of corporations of bilaterals and multilaterals. Everybody.
So there's still more to do.
Oh, there's a lot of work to do. I mean, we are 24 hours, so
we still have to do that.
We have to continue to work.
Absolutely, and that's Dr. Ishmael.
So by December, people would see a clarity of where the parks are. Some of those was taken off. Our SME financing, which I didn't talk about, but there's going to be an SME financing that we're providing. And our biggest partner there is Development Bank of Ghana.
Okay.
It's an wholesale bank and the development financing. And so you're going to give a patient capital, 3 to 5 year moratorium, no collateral, but you belong to cooperatives and so on. And you access services that will enable you to be able to utilize the funds and you're going to receive the funds when you are working in agroecological park, in the value chain, in a supply chain, and so on. And this is going to come.
Absolutely. By December, no matter how, no matter the number of times he comes here, by December, we're bringing Doc back to come and speak about how far of the 24-hour economy. A big thanks to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And that's Dr. Ishmael Niamanododo. He's the Director of Innovative Financing, of course. There's also the talk of partnerships and markets.
Yes.
And that's why you can understand where he's coming from when he says, the money is there. We'll look for it. We'll fix it.
And Dominion TV is our partner too.
Absolutely. We are creating the platform.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm sure you've learned something. Continue to read the document. It's out there. Download it. Just look for the document. It's online. Read it for yourself and get a fair understanding. A big thanks to you once again for coming. And well, coming up is sports. We get to end on that note. Stay with us.